It's going to do all of
do
it
you
at
guys
once.
know anything about digital marketing, or I know you do. I know you do a little bit. I guess I'm asking you.
Always learning, but want to understand the mechanism and how you get eyes. Right?
Yeah.
Understand how it works.
That's our whole goal here, is to really educate people. And there might be a couple people that are coming in late, but I want to keep everybody on a schedule. And here's an agenda for you. If you haven't, go
Get started,
please
2
help
minutes?
yourself. Yeah.
I hope people are parking. I'm not sure they're coming in now.
Yeah, that would be great. So we will be doing lives of this because it's our goal. If somebody, it's lunchtime. If somebody can't make it, we still want them to have the opportunity. We'd love a review because the reviews help us online. Just when we're calling people, they know we're not selling. We're actually trying to just have a consultation with them to help lay out individually. And I'm going to offer that to you. Afterwards, I'd love to it's absolutely free, just to do a Zoom with you on a one-on-one. We can talk a little bit about nonprofit and the opportunities of how to set that up for you. And then we can go from there as far as what you're doing right now, who you want to reach, what's a good strategy for that. But I would love to do that. So do you have a card or?
I do. We're a teen, well, it does a lot. It's Wings of Grace, but their premier program is teen aviation for teens who can't afford it. And the teens work it off by rehabbing low-income housing. So it's quite amazing. It has about 4 or 5 arms with Wings of Grace right near here.
Wow.
But the core is teens and trying to get them through decision-making processes and hopefully change their lives.
So we have housing, we have loans from 8% every main income all the way up to jumbo.
Yeah,
So
that's
let
fine.
me know if they ever needs money or help with the credit stuff, all right? No cost.
Yeah, and here's a little brochure on us as well. And there might be a couple people, I know I had 2 people that said they were on their way, so they're probably just running late. But thanks you guys for coming. Like I said, we will be offering, I'd love to do consultations with you afterwards, just so we can get you positioned because you made the time to come in. We'd also love a Google review just because that helps us grow. And people can trust that when we're doing these, that's what we're doing, is trying to educate you on how it all works. So this is Brian Wallace. We're going to go around the room today and just kind of do introductions. And Brian's going to be our presenter talking to us about the what and why PPC for your business.
Awesome.
So Tony, do you want to go ahead and start with what?
Sure. Tony Lorendi, I'm a recent retiree from aerospace, double background, as technical management. Had my real estate license since '06, mortgage since 19, and I'm educating myself always. So this is another part of my education, and I appreciate you hosting it and taking the time.
Thomas, one of our regulars, please.
Tom,
You want to take him for the food?
Yes.
And I'm Julie Feuerstein with nonprofit Wings of Grace Ministries right near here. Welcome everybody to come take a tour.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yes, they've been in business for, well, if you don't mind, I'll just hand out this quickly, just a little, they have a teen aviation, just take one and pass it around. So, they have a teen aviation camp coming up, but we run it for kids who can't afford it. And then they, like I was saying to Tony and Melissa, they work it off by rehabbing low-income housing, which is another arm of Wings of Grace. Plus, they have a thrift store, so they're expanding their program into Georgia and Kentucky and overseas. But the core is right here.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Welcome to tour anytime.
That's amazing. I have a teenager myself that would probably be really interested in this. So
I am Clark with College Hunks Hauling Junk and Moving. We're a full service moving and junk removal company. We do everything from packing to doing the full move. And then if there's anything left behind, we'll take it, So all-inclusive move services. And I'm here because recently I became the manager running this franchise here in Melbourne, Florida. And Melbourne, Florida is growing so much that I don't have enough knowledge about online PPCs with the growth that Melbourne shows, because you look in new neighborhoods popped up, So
All the time.
saying that people need to be moved into those neighborhoods, so that's what we're going for, and I want people to see our name first, so that's what I'm looking
Very
at
good.
PPCs for.
Yep. Okay, and I'm Jackie Nicholson. I have been at the Abbey for going on my second year here, or I almost completed my 2 years, and I have been starting the lunch and learns because I see the value in helping business owners understand how to set themselves up digitally. Just because when I came in, I had no idea how it all worked, and now I do, and I'd like to share that. So,
I'm Tom Clifford. I come to these things for more than the food. I find these guys to be really creative and provocative thinkers, and I learn something new every time I come here, from SEO to marketing strategies to business strategies to just how to look at the world, look at your business and stuff like that. I work for Habitat for Humanity, but I also run a newspaper in Key Biscayne, small operation there. So I use a couple things that I've learned out here from down there, and I have my own kind of interest in solid photography and stuff like that. So I have there's stuff to use everywhere. So
I'm Stuart. I've just joined the growth team here. This is my first lunch and learn. I'm excited to be part of this team and the expansion department as far as helping smaller companies grow to be larger companies and with their marketing needs. So it's great I like your program. And I'm an aerospace background or double background myself.
Good.
So, but this is a new avenue for me.
No pens in the pocket. That's the stereotype.
pins in the pocket. I like that.
And Julian, you want to say a quick word before?
Oh yeah, I'm Jolene. I just joined the growth team, but I've been with Adley for over a year now, and I do all of our internal marketing.
Very nice.
So I'm making sure we're live on our social media.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So my name is Brian Wallace. I'm VP of Growth and Marketing here at the Adley. I love the lunch and learns because it's a great opportunity just for our staff, including myself, just to talk about what we love, right? So everybody that works for the Adley is a passionate marketer. And so it's just fun to talk about. So we started this last year just for that, just to kind of be more involved with the community, get to know some of our neighbors. Our clientele is all over the world. We have clients on 4 continents, and most of them in the United States, but they're all over. So it's just good to get grounded in our own community and just get to know more people. I've been with the Adley for over a year, but I've been in marketing and digital marketing for 22 plus years. And been involved with PPC probably since 2009. So I've seen a lot of it. I remember in 2010, maybe doing one of these in an auditorium in California, and everything that I talked about there is almost different than it is today, right? So digital marketing is a moving target. Thank you for coming. Again, if you need a sandwich, go grab one. We are virtual. I think Jackie might have talked about that. So we do have some visitors. Last month we had one of these. We had 300 people watching online. So I like to see people in person. So I'm glad you guys are here. But we know that people like to do that. So today is just that. It's the what and why of PPC. Hopefully what you get out of here is just a little, if you walk away with one little snippet, one little detail that you didn't know about, I'd be happy. I hope you learn more than that, but if you take one away, that'll be cool. I'm not here today to log into Google AdWords and show you how to do that. That's gonna take hours. That's a long process. But it's having a better understanding of what it is. And most importantly, I think it's having an understanding of when you should think about it. Marketing is very fragmented. I've been doing this. If you count interning in college, I've been doing this for like 24 years. And it's changed. Every year it's changed. Tom and I worked at the same newspaper company for a long time, and at one time, that newspaper was the most dominant thing around, and that's all you had to do. And it didn't matter who you're on as or what type of business you were. You advertised in the newspaper, you got visibility, got results. Those days have changed, but also the avenue of marketing. Not everything is for everybody. And so sometimes just having an understanding of where a marketing channel fits in is really the goal. And that's what I hope today is you have an understanding where PPC fits into marketing. It's not for everybody, it's not for everything, but it can serve a purpose if it's done right. So ultimately, when we talk about PPC, we're really talking about search engines, right? So when we talk to clients, it's not about SEO, it's not about PPC, right? So we throw these terms out a lot. It's really about search engine visibility. That's what it's about. It's showing up on a search engine. I thought this was kind of interesting stat. There's over 150 widely used search engines around the world, right? Can anybody name more than 4? Not really, right? There really are, right? So, and there's a couple other ones. There's like Brave, and there's a couple other ones that are out there. But yeah. I mean, this is obviously in different countries, but for the most part, as everybody knows, Google's king, right? Google is the number one. So a lot of times when we talk about PPC and search marketing, we're going to talk about Google because over 70%. And honestly, some of these other ones that aren't listed here, they're actually using Google, but they're branding themselves a different search engine. They're kind of plugging into Google, so it is Google. But we'll go over a little bit. Some more interesting facts, right? Google handles over 3.8 million searches per minute. Right, that's a lot. Kind of times that out, that's 228 million searches per hour, 5.6 billion searches per day, and 2 trillion searches per year, right? So what that's going to tell you is that people use Google. Can anybody raise their hand and tell me they have not used Google this week? I've yet to anybody ever. Yeah, that's 15 minutes. Directions, right? Yeah, exactly, right? So everybody uses Google, and it's hard to say that. What I want you to think about, though, is that Google is an answer machine. We call it a search engine, but it's an answering machine, right? Google's goal is to deliver an answer, right? And that is the biggest thing you want to keep in your mind, is that their number one customer isn't this agency, it isn't your business, it is the person doing the search. They want the answer to be there. So that's always in mind, right? People are looking. They're looking for everything. And this is some quick snapshots we did for you, just to kind of show you. But people are looking for almost anything. I mean, you can be very specific. You can look for a specific medical diagnosis, right? You can look for a very generic thing. These were a couple things we looked in AC repair, just AC repair. I think this was in Hillsborough, Tampa, right? Just 1,000 people, just that one term, AC repair, right? Plumber near me, I can't remember what city that was. That might have been the Tampa area, but 4,400 times, just a plumber near me, right? 480 times in Brevard County, AC repair near me. So as a business owner, that should excite you that people are looking for your services. What should scare you is if you do that search and you don't show up, right? So how I like to equate it is if we told you today that in this room there is going to be 100 people that were in the market for your business, and I would give you the opportunity to put a poster up here that said you provided a service they were looking for, would you be interested in that? It'd be silly not to, right? Even depending whatever the cost is, you can get your message in front of somebody, right? That's what a Google search engine is today. It is the answer. If you have the answer to a consumer's problem, you want to make sure they see you as the answer. The challenge is how do you do it, right? So how do you do it is through search engine marketing, right? So search engine marketing is a form of digital marketing that's really trying to be search engine visibility. That's what it's all about. So even though today I'm talking about PPC, really what we want you to do is how do you show up? And the challenge is which way do you show up, which one do you use, and how do you do it, okay? So this is what we call a SERP. It's a search engine results page, right? So everyone's familiar with that. They look different depending on what you're doing. I picked AC air conditioning repair in Melbourne, Florida, because it was really hot the day I did that. I was sweating. But also, it's a good one to look at, right? It's a good one to look at. So when you look at that, though, there's a lot of real estate, right? And so the question becomes, where do I need to show up, and how do I get there? Right, so what I wanted to do is just review a little bit about the different areas. All right, so this is traditionally, right, the ads. So this is what we call pay-per-click. This is the ad positions. The ad positions predominantly show up on the top here. They also, people forget about this, they show up on the bottom. If it's a very competitive, it will show up on the bottom, okay? It used to have all the ad positions on top, but Google has made it more difficult, and so now there's ad positions on the bottom.
Is there a way to guarantee you're on the top or the bottom?
Guarantee is not a word I like to use unless we are talking about Google guarantee, and that's this portion right here. So the short answer is no. Never can guarantee anything because it's not Brian's search engine, it's Google's search engine. Okay? But paid ads are the more likely to be guaranteed to be there than other ways of showing up. Right? So this is Google Guarantee. So Google Guarantee, has anybody heard of Google Guarantee before? Okay. So Google Guarantee is where instead of pay-per-click, which is what PPC is, right? So pay-per-click, which is basically we are paying when someone clicks on the ad, right? And I'll go over this a little bit more, but this business, Ellington AC, is not paying to show up here until someone clicks on it. When they click on it, they are charged, right? So it's pay per click. Google Guarantee is a pay per lead program, meaning that they're paying based on an actual lead. Now, you might say, well, why wouldn't I do that? Well, because it's not available for everybody. It's a service-based. There actually is a vetting process with that. So right now it's mostly open to more home services-based businesses, but there's a lot that are available. So with that, it's pay per lead. You have to basically fill out a form. You have to be verified by Google, but we highly recommend that as a pay-per-click.
It is paying per lead.
Pay per lead, right? As a paper.
Which industries do that work? Does that work?
Exactly. There's home services, which we just had. And then you have the map listings, right? So the map listings is where it becomes really important for local, right? This isn't where national companies show up, right? This isn't an e-commerce business isn't showing up. This is where a brick and mortar business is showing up. Now, it can be a national brick and mortar like a Home Depot, but it's going to be not corporate Home Depots, right? It's going to be the one on Wickham Road or the one on 192, right? So that's the other area is the map listings. And then lastly, but not least, is the organic side, right? This is the non-paid side, right? Technically, the map's non-paid as well, but there's some things you can do to show up. But the organic is the non-paid side, right? This is really Google's determining it. Now, we did a lunch and learn on this last month, so I'm not going to spend too much on that. But if you missed it, you want to learn more about that, we certainly can talk about that later. But this is the organic. So today, predominantly, we're going to talk about this area, which is the pay-per area. Pay-per-click, pay-per-lead. What these are for and why and how they're important. Are there any questions before I move on?
You use, I guess, location in your search to basically filter.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So you can
So
set
that's
that
why
up.
there could be the whole.
Yes. So, and that's a good point. So, really, what I would say is specifically this side of it, right? The pay-per-click side
Right.
is really an opportunity for small businesses to level the playing field. Because you'll never have the budget to keep up with a national brand on television, radio, name the media, right? But what search marketing does is it levels the playing field because you can have a more cost-effective, geographically targeted campaign. So yeah, So it's really based on, and we'll go over this a little bit, but it's based on geography, right? So I'm not gonna find an air conditioning place in Tampa if I'm in Melbourne. It's gonna be specific to my area, which allows the cost to be a little bit more affordable. Great question.
So the three that are in that paper lead spot right there.
Yeah.
They're charged for the position?
They pay per lead, so they're up there, they're being delivered.
But,
Yeah.
no, that's what I mean, what are they paying per lead? I mean,
So it depends. It depends on this. But let's say they're paying like let's say that'd be like $30 for a qualified lead. There's certain criteria that'll list what a qualified lead is, right? So usually it's name, number, business,
Data.
address, right? Actual live person, right? They got, and so you can. What's interesting about it is you can actually send them back.
Yeah,
Say
you
this
can
was a
send it
bad
back.
lead. So it's actually a great program. It's just you're not gonna. There's some couple of challenges with that, right? So you're not. It's just more of a narrow scope, and so you're not going to be able to show up with as many searches as you would for a specific service, right? That is supposed to deliver a specific service, right? So air conditioning repair, you're a business that does that. You can qualify for that program. You can show up there. There's sometimes people want to show up for other reasons, other keywords which we can talk about, and so that's why it's a little bit narrow. I would never recommend just that. It's kind of a combination. Yeah, no,
It's like an implied value that I'm up on the top. right?
yeah, because it's Google guaranteed. Google's guaranteed
So
you that
that's
you're
not
legitimate.
placement, my eyes are gonna, I don't know, the physiology of eye contact.
Yeah.
Things like, right? And when I
Well, I'll
look
tell
at
you. They do it. They've done heat maps, and what it looks like this. So if you're in that tunnel,
it's a diagonal
yep,
to
it looks just like that. So if you're and that's why the ads typically stay over here, right? But yeah, the higher up, the better. Now, does it matter here, here, or here? No, but what might matter is, and again, this is a Google product. So what is it showing you? It's showing you Google reviews. I'm personally gonna pick. All right, this one's got 4.9.
Yes.
Right. Right. So, but no, it's more of a challenge to show up here. You're more likely to show up here than you are there. Google's getting paid no matter what. Right. But this is a little harder to do. But ultimately, you probably want to be in both places.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it was, and the leads, what, Google is giving you that qualified lead?
Yeah.
So somewhere there, they have a team or whatever is searching through.
Yeah.
That's for you.
Yeah, it's a program they have specifically set up for. It has to be very like if you're like you have to sell, you have to offer, for example, here AC repair. Your website has to have AC repair. The customer has to be looking specific for that. They will connect it to you.
It's very small, but you can see here, over 5 million results in 0.9 seconds. So their algorithm, they use an algorithm and it goes very fast.
Last question,
Yeah, no, it's okay.
the last red arrow, how did you know the demarcation was organic below it? And,
So when you don't see the word ad next to it,
okay,
you're right, ad. So when these all say ad, sponsored, ad.
peace, thank
Yeah,
you. I didn't know if you don't look.
Yeah, no, well, and that's a great question, right? And so some people recognize it, some people don't
That's a
recognize
real
it.
world example. If I
Yeah.
wanted to see if I showed up at all, I'd have to know where
Yeah.
my $0 show up might be.
Exactly, and we're gonna talk about this, but these are two different strategies. And that's part of the reason why I have them on separate screens.
So when I do a search for something, I specifically skip past the ads.
Some people do, some people don't,
Thank
right?
you. I just want to
Yeah.
understand, because everything, you have everything here, I'm looking at that, and you just said, these are organic, I mean, you just went like that. So now I
Yes,
know.
yes, but I'll tell you what, if you have a leak in your house from the second story, it's coming down into the first story, you're just trying to find someone. Yeah, I don't know, I don't care if it's an ad, not ad,
Sure.
organic, I just want help.
Time
That's
is
what I look for the stars.
Yes,
I'm looking for the guy that's got the stars.
yes, but I will tell you, everybody's different. So it is good to say this is how I do it, but I will tell you that every industry is different, everyone is different.
Thank
All right. Hi, come on in.
Hi.
Hi, welcome, Whitney. Come
So,
on
I'm
in.
Here.
Back for a second. The-
Come on. How are you? Let me grab some water.
Yeah,
Is that a bottled water? Especially at the little thing.
rotation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
which is why you want to do both, because when you do paid ads, you can buy more keywords, and so you can start showing up for other things like power bill too high, right? You're not going to see Google guarantee on power bill too high, but you can get a little bit more creative.
Yeah, so that's by industry type versus solution type.
Yes, yes. Now, yes, we're going to go over a little bit more. I don't want to get too ahead, but so I always like to, these guys, they've heard me say this before on my team, but this is what is called the path to purchase, also known as the consumer journey. Has anybody seen this before or kind of familiar with the term? Okay, yeah. So anything you buy, product or service, has a journey. Okay, let me give you a couple examples. This morning, I wake up. My kitchen is being remodeled, so nothing's there. I wake up starving. I recognize that none of my appliances are here. I can't make my smoothie. So I have a realization, awareness, that I'm hungry and I have nothing to eat. So then I start thinking, I have interest in doing something about that. And I know on the way to work, I pass all these different places. And I have different choices. And I decide, you know what, I'm not doing a smoothie this time, I'm doing an egg McMuffin. Right? And so I know I'm going to do an egg McMuffin. I have made a decision. I'm doing an egg McMuffin. And then I also have to decide which McDonald's, because I passed several on the way, right? Because I got to go drop the kids off. I got to come here, right? All these different things have to happen. I finally decide it's the McDonald's in Sarno, and I'm going to get a McGriddle, right? I pull into the drive-thru. I make that purchase. I went through a journey. It didn't last. It was a very delicious journey, but it didn't last long. Flip side. I have a car that I am leasing. The average lease on a vehicle is 3 years. I have 6 months left on that lease. Okay? I have a decision to make. Do I lease again the same vehicle? Do I buy the car? Do I turn it in but get something completely different? I have to make a decision. Something's happening. But I had a 2-seat car. And since then, I've gotten married, I've had kids, I have 12 dogs, I need something bigger, right? I am aware I have to do something, but my interest has changed. I need a minivan or I need a huge SUV. I've decided that I will never drive a minivan. I have to get an SUV. Nothing against minivans, just a personal decision. I need an SUV, but I also have to decide what SUV, is it domestic, is it an import, right? 3 rows, 2 rows. Ultimately, I have decided that I want a Grand Cherokee, but I also now have to decide, is it new, is it used? I have so many decisions. Ultimately, I decided I wanted to go buy a used one. I wanted a 4-door, I wanted this color, I wanted this interior. Leases up, turn it in, I make an action, right? That took me 6 months, right? In that time frame, how many places was I influenced? Well, I was influenced by my neighbor's new purchase. I was influenced by television commercials, radio, Google searches, the car dealership with the waving sign outside. Everything was influencing me, right? To make a decision. My wife got pregnant again, had an influence. Everything, something changed, and me, constantly bombarded with messages. Now, to get to my choice for a domestic Grand Cherokee SUV, they probably hit me somewhere. They had to hit me somewhere, right? I had to make a decision somewhere. But the dealership I chose or the website I chose also made it at the end too, right? So there was a place for marketing in every step of this way. If I go back to the McDonald's example, there was as well, right? So I probably saw a commercial the night before about McDonald's, right? Something. Homes, same sort of thing. In a normal market, not the market we're in now, that could take a certain amount of time, right? Everything influences you. Digital market is no different. And so what I want you to understand today is search engines aren't just one or the other. A search engine can influence you in all these places. So the 2 types of places that people can show up, we talked about, was the paid and the organic, right? Paid is what we're talking about today. Organic is when we talk about SEO. SEO is called search engine optimization. It's how you get your listings to show up on that right side. Paid is how you get the ads to show up. Pay-per-click is ads, SEO is organic. Okay? This is an analogy I use, which I like, and it's helpful to realize what the difference is. So, this is an aircraft carrier. Sue might disagree. Is it an aircraft carrier? Okay, aircraft carrier. All right, so it's an aircraft carrier, right? So obviously we know there's something going on in the world today, right? Something going on in Ukraine. So let's say that just broke out, right? And the Pentagon says, what are we going to do? We need to do something. I want the U.S. Constitution to leave San Diego, and I want it to get to the Black Sea. Okay? How long does it take to fill up an aircraft carrier with gasoline? A day? 2 days? Takes a while, right? It takes a while.
Nuclear power.
Nuclear power, maybe not. Let's say it's just on ethanol, right? So let's say it does take a while, right? It takes about a day and a half to fill up on regular gasoline, right? Same time, they got to get all the equipment on there. They got to get all the planes on there. They got to bring everybody back because a couple of sailors went to Tijuana, right? They get back to San Diego, right? They're on Coronado. Is that where is it? Coronado. Right? They're in the Coronado, right? They're in San Diego Bay. They got to make a U-turn, right? Because they didn't back it in. You don't back in. You don't back in, right? You got to go in normal, right? They get a U-turn and they get to the Pacific Ocean. They cross the Pacific Ocean. And they get to the Black Sea, or they get near the Black Sea. How long do you think that takes? I have no idea, but I'm assuming it takes a couple weeks. Probably takes some time, right? Right? A couple of days. It's definitely not happening today, right? It's not happening by Thursday. It takes some time. But what happens when that gets there? Does everybody see that thing? That thing is holding down the fort, right? And depending on what countries can see that, they go, that's a lot of planes. It's a lot of planes, right? And those things got some nuclear capabilities, right? It holds down the fort. It took some time to get there, but it holds down the fort. That's how you have to think of it as organic and SEO. The non-paid section can take some time. It's a marathon. It's going to take some time. But when it gets there, it actually, believe it or not, is the most dominant part of the search engine. The most people will click on that. Okay? But it's hard to get there. And it can take some time. But when it's there, it's good. The flip side is the Navy SEALs. Same time that they're getting that warship ready, they called the Navy SEALs and said, get there now. They were there by morning. They go in there, they clear the ground, they have a mission, they get stuff done, they can do it like this, and then they can move tomorrow to another country, they can move back. It's quick, it's nimble. That's PPC, okay? It's important to understand, ultimately, if we're talking about search engine visibility, we want to show up in search engines. There's many ways to do it. These are the two ways you do it, but one is quick and one is a long time, okay? So it's important to know that sometimes which one you do depends on your business. Sometimes you do both of them. That's dependent on your business. Sometimes it's just what's going on in your business right now that dictates which one you do. So I'm going to talk more today, obviously, on PPC and when to use that. Does this analogy make sense?
Yes.
Do you guys have any questions? No? Okay. So again, I don't want to say that one of them is better than the other because in actuality, they both work well together, but they have different purposes. Even though they're on the same page, they have different purposes and get there different. Yes?
What's PPC mean?
We're going to go that very shortly.
Okay.
So question, actually, sorry.
What is PPC?
Oh,
So if you have a stronger
it's an analogy.
SEO presence,
Yeah,
does it eventually make your paid advertising cheaper in the long run?
it can. Yes, and we'll go over when you do it, right? So ultimately, your goal isn't to show up on an ad or organic, it's to show up. Be a choice. Be an answer. That's what you want to be, is an answer. Someone's looking for your service, you want to be a choice. That's the strategy. The tactic is how you do it, whether it's SEO or PPC. That's kind of the thing you have to think about, right? So yes, ultimately they all kind of play off each other. And if you have one good of one, it helps the others. All right, so what is PPC again, right? So PPC is pay per click. You're setting a budget and you're only paying when people click on it, meaning they're driving traffic. So what are they driving traffic to? They're either driving traffic to your website or a call. So when they're mobile ads, which 70 to 75% of all search results happen on a mobile device. Okay? So click the call. It's a phone call. So it's immediate. So the thing to think about is immediate. It means that once your ad's going up there, you're trying to get leads. So you're turning on the faucet. We like to say that marketing is a faucet that turns on sales. This is a faucet. This is a knob. This is a knob right here. It turns it on. Now, as we mentioned earlier, we talked about Google, right? Google's king. It's predominantly done on Google, but Bing is a choice. Does anybody use Bing? Yeah.
Just because of you guys told us that thing is good around here,
Yeah.
so we put some money into it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why.
So I usually use a
Yeah.
different browser,
Absolutely.
not Internet Explorer. That-
Right. No. But you're kind of getting to my point, right? So if I was to buy that HP that Jackie has right there today, you know what it's loaded with? Bing.
Really?
It is not loaded with Google. Unless you're buying a Google Chromebook.
Correct.
It is not loaded with Google, it's loaded with Bing.
But that was the old Intel and AMD thing also. Look at whatever the strategic partnerships were. That's
Yes,
what got loaded on.
exactly. So why is that relevant? So depending on who your audience is, they may not ever download Google Chrome. So I'll give you a scenario.
Me.
So I had a car dealership that was in the southern part of this county that I handled their marketing for. And they were doing pay-per-click ads in Brevard County. They were also doing pay-per-click ads in Indian River County because they were so close. 25% of their sales happened in Indian River County. At the same time, we were running Bing ads and Google ads in both counties. No surprise, Google was killing it up here in Brevard County. Bing was outperforming Google in Indian River County. Anyone want to guess why?
Demographic of the area and what
Age.
search engine they're using.
Indian River is significantly older demographic, and so these folks were not changing it.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
as simple as it
There was
is.
no incentive to change the
Yeah.
search engine. Okay.
I can tell you how many times I sat on the laptop I bought from my dad and tried to convince him to use Google Chrome, downloaded Google Chrome on there, and every time I went over there, he still didn't use Google Chrome.
Spend the money into
Yeah.
it.
So,
Okay.
if your potential client is in an older demographic, you absolutely should be on Bing. I'm not saying don't be on Google, be on Google.
It's a great point because you can miss out.
Yeah.
In
Absolutely.
that case, what do you say? 20% or 40% of sales?
Yeah, what 25% of sales were Palm Beach. I mean, Vero Beach,
Vero
yeah,
Beach,
yeah,
so they would have lost,
Yeah.
they would have been blind to that.
Absolutely.
Advertising wise.
because that's where,
Okay.
and
Good point.
Ford is an older demographic brand. It was a car
Yes,
dealership,
it
that's
is.
why I just gave away who it was, sorry. But anyway, it was an older demographic,
Okay.
right? And so it's an older demographic, right? And so that's their age group, that's their customers were in the Bing category. So again, PPC, I want you to think is that immediate results. So here's the thing, SEO, and super good question. What we tell clients typically is, again, which one do you do? If budget's not an option, which I know is not always the case, you do both, right? You ultimately want to do both. So if you do both, what happens is you start higher budgets at PPC, and over time you can lower it because your SEO is going up. So they do work together. But a strong SEO also allows you to have a lower cost per click. They're all kind of work together. But let's talk about PPC. It's immediate results, right? So if you start an ad campaign tonight, the ads show up tonight. Meaning you can get calls tonight, you can get traffic to your website. So it's meant to be immediate, right? It's higher measurable and quantifiable because you're paying per click. You can see how many clicks you got. Now, I can tell you that not every click's equal, right? And so there are ways to measure that. So there's things like Google Analytics that'll tell you what the behavior of that click is. And so you can look at it. You can say, how long does someone go to your site for my paid ads? you can do a lot of things. So it is highly measurable, and it's also quantifiable. So you pay for a result. So we mentioned guaranteed earlier. It's not guaranteed. It's guaranteed that you're going to show up. I'm not going to guarantee where you're going to show up, but you're guaranteed to show up. Where SEO, the organic, you're not guaranteed. Google guarantees that. If anybody ever tells you, I guarantee organic search results for you, turn around. Don't believe them. Because you can't. You can't. It's Google, right? But if they tell you they can get a paid ad to show up, absolutely. Can't tell you number one. More than likely it will be, but you can't guarantee that. Yes.
So here's a practical question. Noticed on my Facebook feed, I receive targeted ads from service providers outside of my geographic area. Even another state,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is that something you want, obviously you want to avoid, in my opinion.
It
but-
depends, right? So if your business wants to attract people in multiple areas, then go for it. But what we find, and specifically happens on Facebook a lot, people don't know how to set up targeting.
That's, okay, I was just trying to understand the root
Yeah,
cause.
it's a lot easier to make that mistake on Facebook than it is on Google, because Google is a little bit more, forces you a little bit more of where to put it.
Right.
But so PPC adds a great point, right? So PPC ads, you are picking where it delivers.
Very good.
So
Okay.
you're saying, I
That's a big
want
difference.
Lamar County, I want Indian
That's
River.
what you're paying, but that's
Yes.
a big difference.
Hyper focus, right? So that's the line here about granular targeting. So SEO, you could show up anywhere. Now, there are ways for SEO to show up in cities, right? So we have that, right? If you look up web design in Melbourne, Florida, we show up. But we also have web design where we want to show up the world, right? But PPC ads are very specific. They're very specific to areas, right? Either often, which we can talk about now, but you could do radius, you could do geographical, right? Lamar County, you could do Melbourne, you could do 25-mile radius around.
The county yells at us.
What I would tell you again is PPC has fewer resources to execute than SEO. What do I mean by that? Again, I don't want to get too much in SEO, but there's a lot that goes in that. PPC is you run ads. SEO, there's like, you got to write content, you got to make sure your website is good, you got to do a lot of research, you got to do backlink. There's like 7,000 steps, where PPC is less resources. So it's a little bit more easy to get into. All right, so what is it good for? We're kind of talking a little bit about this again, right? So it's a media exposure. So let's go back to automobile example, right? So Ford. So a Ford dealership, every Ford dealership is a franchise, meaning that every Ford dealership is exactly the same. They all sell Fords. They all sell new cars, they all sell used cars, and they all do service. If they don't do that, they're not a Ford dealership. Okay, those are what I would say the intangible things that never change. Okay? But let's say, actually, we're getting there. We're getting to the summer. What happens in the summer is the new vehicles come out, right? So all of a sudden, everyone's going to start getting 2023s. So a Ford dealership is going to start getting 2023 vehicles, and they're going to start having a surplus of 2022s. It's a limited time. PPC. That's what PPC, because it's a short supply, it's a short term. You wouldn't want to spend don't think of the aircraft carrier analogy. You want to spend a long time to rank for something that's only a short time opportunity, right? So if you're having a special event, a special promotion, a special sale, low inventory, something like that, that is on a limited time basis, that is more nimble, more dynamic, you can turn it on, you can turn it off, that's when you're thinking ads, okay? If you're thinking, I'm always going to provide this service, I am a mortgage broker, I'm always going to provide mortgages, that's more of SEO, because you're always doing it. But if you have a special promotion where like zero closing costs, that it's only available this summer, think more PPC. Does that make sense? Okay. So you can, again, what I would tell you just as a caveat, the copy, the creative can dictate some of that sometimes, but ultimately something that is immediate. So when a client tells me, I want to do search engine marketing, my first question is going to be why. And it's great, but why? Do you want people to make the phone ring tonight and tomorrow? Then it's ads. If I just want to show up, so when someone's looking for an AC, whether it's today or if it's next month, then SEO might be the place to go, because that's more of a long-term solution. Okay, so PPC is always good for short term. Can it be good for long term? Absolutely. It's also, again, a kind of conduit until your SEO shows up. Your long term shows up. Does that make sense? Any questions? Yeah, please.
So would geofencing fall under PPC or SEO?
Geofences. So geofences is more related to like display ads. So geofences is less on search engines.
Okay.
But what's great about geofences is you're locating a specific area, right? You're saying I want us to be delivered in a specific area, often a specific building, a neighborhood, and PPC allows you to actually target that way. So if you want to target specific geography and location, then PPC can be a good option. Where SEO is more wide open.
Does the amount of reviews, 5 stars and whatnot, affect the level of your ad is on the PPC, or is that just like you said determined by Google?
So it can affect you on the Google guarantee portion of it. It can be a factor on quality score, which I will get to in a second.
Okay.
But that's a good question. Any other questions on so if you have a question, that was a great question in geofencing as well, but any question on when you might want to use PPC or not? So I'll give you another example, right? So again, think about restaurants, right? McDonald's, right? Breakfast would be SEO. Buy one, get one Egg McMuffins might be a PPC, right?
Yes.
Limited time offer, get moving on it. It might take me too long to rank for buy one, get
So
one.
you're putting the urgency out there. You're describing it for somebody.
Yes.
Creating that, hey, you need this
Yes.
because.
And if you think back to that funnel, what I was talking about, right? So think about the funnel. The awareness is the top. That's SEO, right? More awareness, long-term doing research. I may or may not be ready to buy. Where lower funnel is PPC, ready now.
Okay.
SEO can be down there too, but if you just want to see a quick contrast, I would think awareness, SEO, decision, call to action, do it now,
Yes.
PPC.
Okay.
Again, you can combine it, but for the most part, that's how you want to look at it.
When you're developing a strategy for somebody who's got both going,
Yeah, yeah.
you're cycling in and out of that immediately. I know we're talking web and search
Yeah.
engines, but do you have, where is your strategy on direct mail? Is that,
Yeah, they fit, and that's a great question. I mean, you can put different marketing platforms in each of those, and just the nature of that will dictate. So my direct mail typically is lower funnel because it's usually like I have an event this weekend or a special. But the creative dictates that because I can also send you a menu through direct mail that has nothing but just what I sell, and that's an awareness. But yes, so what typically you should think of as a business, and what we try to tell people is I tell me the path to purchase. Tell me the consumer journey. What does it look like when they have a problem, right? When you're marketing, you're solving problems. A client or customer has an issue. Your business has the solution, right? So there's a journey. And again, the journey can be an hour, the journey can be 6 months, the journey can be 3 years. Where does it fit in there? And so, yes, all different phases of marketing fits in there. The biggest mistake that businesses always tell me is I only do bottom funnel marketing. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can't. Number one, it's first of all, you've only did that, it's expensive, right? The bottom of the funnel is smaller. It's harder to get there, right? And again, go back to a traditional media, the yellow pages and the white pages, right? This is the same thing. Everybody is in the white pages. Why do you advertise in the yellow pages? To stand out, brand awareness. So when they go to the white pages, they recognize you. So when they get to the bottom funnel and they're ready to make that purchase, they remember seeing you throughout the funnel.
But there's 95% of the people going after that 5% of the funnel.
Yeah.
And it's very, extremely, almost impossible.
Yes, and it's more expensive. So the people that are building, right, so there's a concept that's called the thin market theory. Right? The thin market theory says that there's only a certain amount of people in any given moment that are in the market for a good and service. Period. The goal is to be there when they're in market, right? So
Well, knowing that they're in the market.
Yeah.
Right?
again, we'll go back to AC. We live in Florida, right? AC breaks today. Anyone gonna print it out until December? I'm not, right? Who do I call? And I'm gonna do a lot of. I might have somebody. I might do a search, but who's gonna stand out? Marketing helps you stand out. So if Ellington has been hitting me for the last 6 months about AC repair, and I'm ignoring them, and I have a need, I'm gonna recognize Ellington.
Sure.
I'm going to, consciously or subconsciously.
Got it.
And so that, a lot of times that's what it is, right? So you have to build that. And again, marketing's fragmented, and it's not, this was 1985, it's television, radio, newspaper. It's not anymore. And you have to be in multiple places. The challenge is where.
And
Right.
I guess Ellington might be a great choice, but if you don't know Ellington, or Ellington hasn't been paying PPC or hammering you over the last 6 months, you're gonna open up the yellow pages, and which one do you think you're gonna call? AAA, AC?
Yeah, it's recognition. So there's some of that awareness and research phase, but again, it's understanding your products and service and what the consumer journey is, and that dictates what is it direct mail, is it television, is it newspaper, but ultimate message controls that too. So we kind of talked about these a little bit. There's a lot of options and enhancements, but again, like radius targeting is really good. What do we mean by radius targeting, right? So typically, a retail trading zone, meaning where people shop, is 5 to 10 miles around their house. Right? So you have to think about that. Right? So is your PPC budget hitting Titusville? And your clothing stores in Palm Bay, you've just wasted a lot of your budget. So PPC allows you to tighten that up to where your customers are. Right? You can also do zip code targeting, right? So I'll go back to automotive again. Automotive dealers, because they're franchises, they are assigned zip codes. All right, so they have zip codes. That's actually what they are. And so they can have an underperforming zip code and just target that zip code, right? Going back to Google Guarantee, what if I want to target a used car dealership in Titusville because I have a lot of cars, but I am not that type of dealership, so I can't do Google Guarantee. I could buy to show up in that zip code for a different make. Now, it'll be expensive, which I'm going to go over a little bit, but it allows you to do specific targeting by keywords that are not related to your business. I don't know if I always recommend that, but ads allow you to do that. Non-ads don't let you do that. So radius targeting, zip code targeting, call outs. So call outs are like, think about like, those are little things on the bottom of ads that say like, limited time offer, or we have this many left. It's a little like extra ad on the bottom there, right? Not the headline, it's called the call out. So a car dealership might do, we only have 10 of these left. McDonald's might say, promotion ends Friday. Something that calls it out. We talked about click to call, right? So I talked about 70% of all searches happen on a mobile device. You got to have a click to call on your ad if you're doing search marketing, right? Especially if you're someone who wants a phone call, right? That's amazing. People can call you. We have a local flooring company that advertises with us, and they get like 30 calls alone just for click to call a month from that, right?
Fantastic.
Just clicking people saying, I want that, your tile, whatever you have, or carpet, right? And then, well, of course, we talked about per lead. So again, pay per lead is called Google Guaranteed on here, and it is very specific, but if you have an industry that is applicable, it's definitely worth looking at. All right, so what makes a successful campaign? Patience. I always say that in marketing, patience, okay? There is learning that's involved with this. It is a technology, it is an algorithm, there's still all that in there, so patience is there needed. Research. a lot of research. So one of the things that people always tell me is, I want to buy this keyword, I want to show for this keyword, and the answer should be why. Because, well, the question should be why. Because business owners tend to think like themselves, not their consumers. That might be how you search it, but is that young man going to look that way? Is that young woman going to look that way? No. So research is based on how the consumers look for product, not how the business owner talks to their manufacturer. The other thing is, does it convert? So I can buy you any keyword and show up, but is that what people are actually looking for? Right? So for junk removal or moving, right, there's certain keywords people are looking for, right? And so you can show up and buy a very cheap, well, it was really cheap. That's great. You just spent $100 on really cheap keywords and nobody wanted to buy user service. So part of the research is having an understanding of not only what people are searching for, but what they're clicking on, what they're converting to, what they're making phone calls to. Is it better to get 100 clicks and people are actually buying, or is it better to get 1,000 clicks and no one buys? Right? Or impressions. Oh, there's 1,000 people look for this keyword, but only 2 people click on it. Or 500 people look for this keyword and 50 people click on it. So there's a lot of research that goes in there. Proper funding, understanding budgets and how to leverage those budgets. Right? So I have a good friend of mine who's super smart, computer electrical engineer, runs his own business, can build a computer, try to do his own PPC, burn the budget every day at 11 a.m. Not proper funding it, not knowing how to set it up, structure of it, right? Delivering it when your consumers are looking. Some people say, I don't want my ads to show up after 6 p.m. Why is that? Well, because it's nighttime. You know when the time I'm looking online for products and services? Nighttime. You missed it, right? So proper funding it and knowing how much is needed for that. Bid strategy, same sort of thing, knowing how much you want to pay for it, right? So some things can be really expensive, right? But you can set budgets, right? You don't want you to blow out your budget. Ad copy. Ad copy is extremely important. It's not just build it and they will come. You have to build something they want to come to. So ad copy is really important. Ad testing, seeing how it works, right? One versus the other, see for results. We do that here all the time. Proper landing page. So what is a landing page? That's the web page they go to when they land from the campaign. So if you are selling couches in your ad and they click on that page and it's tables, they're gone. Your landing page has to match your ad. What do you want people to do? I want them to fill out a form. A landing page has no form, right? Or I want them to come to my location. The landing page doesn't have your address. I want them to call. The landing page doesn't have your phone number. Your landing page is just as important as your ad and keywords. It's like this. If someone comes to your physical location, they walk into your location, and you have a terrible person who greets them. A bad experience in the very beginning, they walk right out. That's your landing page. It has to match what you want them to know and do. Ongoing optimization means that there's constantly got to be changes. They constantly have to update it all the time. Google changes their algorithm monthly, if not more. There's constant optimization that bidding has to go on. All right, so I only have like 2 more slides, but quality score, this question was asked earlier about pricing. So quality score in reviews, quality score is actually what dictates how much you pay. So quality score is basically what Google does to determine. So there's a lot of factors. Click-through rate. How many people are actually acting to this ad? If the ad has a high click-through rate, you get a better quality score. Better quality score, the lower you pay per click. Landing page. Is the landing page relevant? Are you selling couches, but you're selling candles on your webpage? Right? It has to be relevant. Historical performance. I told you earlier, as soon as you buy ads, you show up. True, but the longer you do it, Google rewards you for it. You get a better quality score. Other factors like reviews, quality reviews, That's a great example. User experience on your website. Is it a good website that's mobile friendly? Remember how many people go on a website that's mobile friendly? Add relevancy. This is huge. This is where you see people, they bought my keyboard, they bought my name, they bought me that. You can do that, but it's expensive. Right? So Ford will buy Toyota, Toyota will buy Honda, Honda will buy Hyundai. They can do it, but they're not paying the same price that someone who actually sells the product is. So you can buy your competitors, but you're going to pay more than your competitors paying. So when people said, someone bought my name, good. They gave you, they're overpaying for it. Right? So all of that factors in to what you pay. So not everybody pays the same. The longer you do it, the more relevant you are, the better experience the consumer has, the lower you're going to pay on it. So don't get concerned when you see like competition buying your name or buying, they're doing it, but guarantee they're paying way more than you are. So you don't want to buy people's names. It's just, it's a bad experience and you're paying too much for it. Does that answer your question on reviews?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking because in the county we have the highest reviews, but when we pull up on our Google page, we're like,
Yeah.
if you look up movers, it pulls up everybody before us, but yet we still have
Yeah.
more reviews with more 5 stars than anybody else. And I'm just trying to figure out
In the
how.
long run, you are going to benefit from that.
Okay.
It's just in the long run.
Right.
You're going to win by doing that. It's just, it's a factor. There's not one factor. There's just not. There's just multiple factors. And that's the challenge is there's so many different factors. But it does make a difference.
Okay.
It does make a difference. Final thoughts, right? So what I want to just kind of leave you guys with is when it is set up and managed correctly, there is ROI. We talk to people all the time that say, I've wasted money on PPC. It's not because you did PPC, it's you did it wrong. Okay? It is, if you do it right, it will see ROI. But what I said earlier, knowing what you want out of your marketing and advertising always is going to dictate whether you want this. So if you just want people to know you exist, do not do PPC. It's not brand awareness. If you just want to show up on a Google search result so they see you on a search result, that's not how we do it. We'll find out there's other ways to do it. If you want leads tonight, tomorrow, immediate attention, limited inventory, special things going on, yes. So think immediate results, the Navy SEALs, long-term awareness, also leads, SEO. Okay?
Great presentation.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes,
We
please.
have questions from the
Yeah.
live. Okay, so how much do I need to start spending on my ads?
So there's so many factors, right? So here's a great example. I'm an AC business. I live in Melbourne, Florida. Do I have to spend the same as an AC business in Miami, Florida? No, because the geography is much larger, right? So geography matters, competition matters. How many other AC businesses are there? But here's the cool thing. It's dynamic, meaning what you pay for is what you get. So we can estimate if you say, hey, I got a $500 budget, we can run that and see here's your estimate. Clicks. Here's your estimated leads. What's cool about that is that $500 is the opposite of inflation, is deflation. Over time, that $500 will actually get you more because of the quality score. So what I always say is you start reasonable. It's a faucet. Remember I said earlier, marketing is the faucet that turns on sales, and PPC is one of those faucet turns. You can turn it a little more or you can turn it less. If you want more leads, you bump the budget, turn it down. The answer is how much is it? We have to do research. But typically people can do probably starting $300, but not in a competitive marketplace and not in a larger area. So it just depends where you are.
Okay, we have more questions
All
online.
right.
Did you have it? Okay, how long will it be until I begin to see results?
So got to find results. So what PPC does is not sales, it's leads. Will you start showing up right away? Yes, you will. So the answer is results on showing up is right away. Now, if you have a strong enough call to action, you're going to start getting people calling you. So you're going to get leads from it. How many and how often, size of the budget, how good is your creative, a lot of factors are in there, but you will show up immediately.
Okay. Somebody else asked, is PPC alone enough for me?
Depends on your business. Short answer is probably no, but if you need looking for a cost-effective, quick turnaround, it could be.
Awesome. Okay.
But remember when I talked about the funnel, right? So if you are up in the higher funnel, the long term, your PPC costs are probably going to be pay less because you're going to have more awareness in search engines.
Right. Okay. Would you guys have any other questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
Brian, it came up on your second to last and last slide.
Yeah.
On the tactical side, landing page.
Yeah.
So that brings in web address, URL. I don't want to make you
Yeah.
go another,
That's
that could be a whole day's discussion.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do a consultation. We're gonna do that.
I
You
mean,
get that.
But I'm just
so.
saying, how important is that in terms of results?
So all right. So I mean, obviously, having whatever your website looks like, all of that factors in for a lot of reasons.
Appearance.
Yeah. So URL structure, title, that's a lot of SEO
So you have
stuff.
to think about it.
Yeah. But if you're looking for just conversion and you're running ads to get conversions, it matters. But most importantly, is what's the user experience going to be? Is it going to do what they want you to do? But all of it does matter. And all of it
Yeah,
does
I mean, you
matter.
can redirect from one, they click here and then they get going to this one.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's, can they find you? Is it-
They can. But if you want to be found on search results, not ads portion, you got to spend a lot more time making sure that's optimized.
So you talking about the name of the URL? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
That's an SEO
.com
factor.
versus .info.
Well,
Some
really,
choices.
really, so here's the best way to look at it, right? So you walk into a shopping center, right? You look at bikes. It's not bills, cycles. Really, they care about bikes, right? Or Chinese food, not Sarah's, right? It's got to be what is in that location. What you sell and where you're located is more important than Google looks at it like a consumer. If I'm just looking at it very quickly, Google's saying this is a plumber, he's located in Palm Bay. This is a mortgage broker, he's located in Melbourne. Versus bill services.
They're not asking about all those ones and zeros.
How do you solve my issue? How do you solve my issue?
Okay, I have one more question.
Yeah.
This person wants to know, why should I use you for my ads and not just use Google?
So the self-service tool is amazing, but it can cost you some money. Because this is not a set it, forget it. And so if you have, 8 hours a week to dedicate to this, give it a shot. Chances are you don't. All right, so that's what it takes. It's an ongoing process. It's not an automated process.
Okay. I think that is,
All right.
hey girls.
So I think the last thing is we wanted just to raffle off something.
We were gonna raffle off a consultation, but I think with this little people here, we're just gonna go ahead and open that up and make it available for any of you guys. So you're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you. Thanks you guys for being on the live
Thank you.
too. We'll be back next week.
We need to figure that out.
Good job, very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your time.
The customer, the buyer's journey.
Yeah.
Talk strategy.
You were hiring old employees?
No, like the guys who have been there, like as sponsors.